Let's finish off 2022 with a bang. First, we'd like to thank everyone as a record number of you took advantage of our Thanksgiving 7-day special. We hope you enjoyed the convenience of getting your favorite handicappers plays daily during the hectic holiday weekend. And we also know that December can be a frenzied month with the holidays and all the sports in play. In the spirit of the season and due to the success of the Thanksgiving special, we are now offering a rest of the calendar year special to get every NFL, college bowl game, NBA, NHL, or any other sport your favorite handicapper releases through December 31st for only $1.99. The early bird really does catch the worm for this special as it starts the day you sign up. No coupon is needed and you pay only $1.99 today or pay $1.99 in a few days. The choice is simple. Let's have a great ending to 2022.
We are live. It is Thursday, December the 8th. This is WagerTalk Today, and this is WagerTalk TV. And we're here every Monday through Friday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, live, and, of course, archived 24/7 for your viewing pleasure, both here on the YouTube channel and on the downloadable app, WagerTalk TV app for your favorite mobile device. Don't forget also about the podcast audio versions as well. We look even better audio style. And that's myself, Steve Merrill, filling in for the Prez, and my co-host, Teddy Covers his well-deserved day off. Marco D'Angelo filled in yesterday. Teddy did a great job. It's great to have you back as well, though. And, Teddy, we got a nice show for Thursday. What are we looking at this evening, or this afternoon, rather?
This morning here in Las Vegas.
This morning, of course, for you, depends where you
back
are.
In the day. When I used to do, ESPN radio here in Las Vegas, they would always say, yeah, you got the perfect face for radio. Yeah. So on today's show, Rob Veno is going to lead us off. He's going to talk a little Eagles-Giants. In NFL action, he's going to give us a player prop for tonight as the Nuggets take on the Blazers in NBA action. Andrew Mcinnis going to join us next. He's got some UFC talk. Blachowicz versus Ankalaev, I believe is the way you pronounce the names. He's going to talk that fight and some NHL for tonight, the Jets and the Blues. My big game breakdown, NBA for this evening. We're going to break down the Clippers and the Heat. I got an opinion on that total. And, of course, we'll close out the show. I don't know how we'll close out the show. We don't have a third guest today. But nonetheless, we will close out the show when all is said and done in some way or other. So stay tuned. We have a strong Thursday edition of WagerTalk Today on tap starting right now.
You know what? I know what we're going to kill a little bit of time since we don't have a third guest. We're going to have a third game to talk about with Rob Veno, who I'll bring on now. And Rob, I am going to throw a little FCS playoff football talk to you here and the little bowl questions as well from Teddy. So we will talk some college football as well with Rob Veno. Because my William Mary Tribe quarterfinals tomorrow night on Friday at Montana State. I want to get Rob's thought on that. And that is a bettable game, folks. There's lines out there in college football. Rob, welcome to the show. Before we do so, though, let's look at one of the bigger games, and that's the NFL. Your Philadelphia Eagles at Teddy Covers' childhood New York Giants. How you playing this one?
Yeah, I love how when you just live in the vicinity of a team, they get labeled as yours, your Philadelphia Eagles. I can't be lumped in. Our producer, Dan, let's say they're Dan's Philadelphia Eagles. We are very unbiased one way or the other when it comes to betting these games. But in this one, guys, I tried to keep it really simple. The pattern here with the Eagles is incredibly strong, and I just feel like you mechanically play it at this point in time. The first half total here is 22.5. The Eagles have been up and over the first half total 10 of 12 games so far this year. They're 10-1-1 over the total first half. Of course, you're always betting numbers, right? So let's look at the number, 22.5. 8 of the 12 games the Eagles have played so far, first half, they've scored over 20 points or better themselves. So when you're sitting at 22.5 and you got a team that's scoring 20 or better, you're looking for a field goal from the other side. 9 of the 12 first halves that the Eagles have played so far, their defense has allowed 10 or more. That's 75% of the time. It's the first time, believe it or not, we're sitting here this late in the season, but it's the first time the Giants have seen this Philly offense all season long. So you have to believe that right out of the chute, Philadelphia may catch the Giants off guard a little bit offensively. I think that helps breed some points here first half-wise. Taking a look at the Giants here, they've scored 7 or more in 8 of their last 9 first halves. And really, if all things go to form, it's all you're asking of the Giants. Give us a touchdown and we'll take 17-7 to the locker room and cash our ticket. The last 3 Giants games, first halves have averaged 23 points. That's better than 22.5. 2 of 3 were at home. This game's at home. That helps. To the point about the Giants defense seeing the Philly offense for the first time, it's also the first time Philadelphia's going to see the Brian Dable-led offense. And I know it's not full of weaponry, but it's still the schematics and whatnot that maybe catch Philly a little bit off guard here to start the game. So, guys, 22.5 for totals terms is pretty much a dead number. They're giving us 23 wide open to cash a ticket. That's 13-10. That's 16-7. That's 17-6. That's 20-3. That's a whole bunch of combinations that happen in NFL football. I'm going to play it that way. I'll follow the Philly trend right now. They've just been a quick starter. This first half, Giants or Philly at the Giants, over 22.5.
So, Rob, the reason the Giants ended up tying with the Commanders last week, because their offense didn't work. I mean, their offense didn't work in the second half. It didn't work in overtime. And I grade out Philly's defense better than Washington. Do you worry at all about the G-men being able to put points in this equation? Because when you're betting first half overs, you need both teams to score. Giants offense, how concerned are we about their ability or inability to put points on the board against a quality defense?
Yeah, if I were asking them to do a bulk of the work here, Teddy, I'd be real concerned. I'm asking this team to get me to 6, get me to 7, which I think, and that's why I laid out the Eagles' defensive statistics in the first half, giving up 10 plus. In as good as their defense may be, they've given up 10 plus in the first half in 9 of their 12 games. So they're giving it up. The Giants in the last, they've scored 7 or more in 8 of their last 9. Again, if they put a touchdown up, it's a pretty easy, mathematically at least, when I'm doing a mathematics, it's a pretty easy victory here, 17-7, 16-7. So I'm going to play it that way. I'm concerned. Yeah, the Giants, if I was asking them to do a lot of work, I'd be concerned. But I'm not asking them to do a lot. I'm asking them to give me, a drive or a drive and a half, which leads to a field goal, something like that.
So I'm just curious, Rob, because you're going here with the total and not the side. And hearing you talk, it seems like you like the side every bit as much as the total. And you're worried about the Giants' ability to compete in this game. You're worried about the Giants' ability to score. Why wouldn't you just look at Philly first half here as opposed to the over?
I just like the number, Teddy. I like the number better. 22.5 to me. And of course, I should say this for everybody watching. I pretty much start every handicap with the total before I look at the side. And if I like the total, then I won't say never. You should never say never in this business. 99% of the time, rarely. I don't play side and total in the same game because I find myself it defeats the purpose and you break even in that case. So I do like total here. That's not a great reason to say why I wouldn't play side, and I don't think I could argue anybody off of side, but it is the way I approach games from a totals first standpoint. And if I like the total right away, I'm not looking to the side.
Rob, I think that's interesting, actually. So you don't often find sides and totals correlated in the game and play both, even if you think they're correlated?
Yeah, you know what? I don't have a lot of luck doing it, Steve. And if I had more luck, maybe I would. But again, I start from the totals perspective. If I see it and I like it, I won't say never because I have done it. And in this business, you learn real quick. Blanket statements get you in a lot of trouble. So don't make any blanket statements about anything. But yeah, I just prefer to be on either side or total and not both at the same time.
Yeah, and it once again shows there's different ways for handicappers to get to that final goal, which is to pick winners long term, and Rob does that extremely well. You can also catch Rob a lot on the NBA show, and Rob, I know you love NBA totals. You talk about those a lot when we do the NBA show at 4:15 Eastern. Give me a good total maybe for tonight in the NBA, something you're looking at in the NBA overall for Thursday.
Yeah, it's a short card, Steve, so I'll individualize it and go to the Denver-Portland game, late night game here tonight, TNT special. But I'll go to Jamal Murray, Denver Nuggets point guard, who has played pretty well since the beginning of November, right? He seems to be, I won't say that he's the Jamal Murray that we remember from the bubble yet, but he's pretty darn close at this point in time. Point total here tonight is 19.5. I'm going to go up and over that 19.5. He's had 20 plus in 4 of his last 6, 20 plus in 6 of his last 9. He happens to be off a really poor shooting performance the other night where in watching that game, I don't think he ever felt comfortable in that game. His shot looked off. They were guarding him pretty intensely in that contest. He's 2 for 11 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. That was against the Dallas Mavericks on Tuesday night. In NBA, I'm very much a bounce back type player. I always feel like things come back to the average. And for Jamal Murray, I feel like a bounce back game is in order here. But in order to get over totals, guys, you have to have the opportunities and you have to have the chances to do so. So for Jamal Murray, over the course of his last 9 games, he's averaged 16 shots per game. So we know we're going to get shots. He's averaged almost 6.5 3-point attempts per game. So we're going to get a shot at a couple of threes here. And he's been to the free throw line a little over 5 times per game. Now, free throw wise, he's a 90% shooter. So if we get there 5 times, we can almost expect we should get 4. Maybe we get 5. 3-point shooting, he's shooting 6.3 a game. And he's hitting 43% of those over the last 9. So we got good odds there. And of course, like I said, he's averaged 16 field goal attempts over the last 9 games. You put those again, for those out there, you can't get caught up. I think a lot of times people get caught up in just sheer matchup. But again, as handicappers, we're betting numbers here against numbers. And I'm looking for this guy to get to 20. Doesn't matter if he gets to 42, 96. You just got to get to 20. And I think that the odds are in our favor here, the way Jamal Murray is playing right now. The matchup helps. The defensive side is not that good. The guards defensively on the other side, Lillard and Simons, not that good. So I'll also bring to light here real quick, guys, a fourth quarter interview with head coach Michael Malone last game against Dallas, where Jamal Murray, even in a game where he wasn't at his best, Michael Malone left him on the floor and told the sideline reporter, I need Jamal Murray in the fourth quarter. I'm going to leave him on the floor. I know he's uncomfortable right now, but we need him to have a big fourth quarter. And that's the type of faith that the coach has in this guy, to give him the minutes, to give him the opportunity. So, again, I like that. I like our chances here. Let's take Jamal Murray up and over 19.5 points.
So, Rob, you talked a little bit about Portland defensively. And the Blazers have been, I'll call them better than expected defensively this season. They're certainly not an elite defensive team, but on the perimeter, they've been better than I thought they were going to be. Do you worry at all about the defensive matchups here, forcing the ball out of Murray's hands, or having Murray with fewer shot attempts tonight, or any of those issues? And the other question that I have with you, that you talked about how you like bounce back games. When a guy's out of sync offensively, how confident are you that next time out, that out of syncness becomes in sync, which is the case, what we would hope if you're betting Murray over the total this evening. So 2 kind of follow-up questions there, Rob.
Yeah, so let's go with the out of syncness, Teddy, as far as game-to-game goes. First off, I'll just start by saying Murray has been in sync for the most part, right? 6 of 9 games, over 20 points. 20 points or better. So for the most part, he's been in good rhythm. Last game, in watching that game, Dallas decided that they were going to, hedge, hard hedges, throw hard hedges at Murray when he got the basketball and get it out of his hands, which generally, I got to tell you, it's generally not the case in Denver games. The number one concern most time when you're defending Denver is Jokic. And in this case, Dallas, with good defensive guards, threw them at Jamal Murray. And he did. He found it a little bit difficult. I don't know that Portland will play it the same way here. I think every opponent, styles make games, matchups make games. I don't think this opponent will play it the same way. And like I say, for the most part, Jamal Murray has been in sync. So I'm trusting that to come back to the norm here, to come back to what he's done 6 of 9 games. Now that I've said that, Teddy, I forgot the first part of the question, so I can't answer it.
I was asking about if there are any defensive matchups on the Blazers side that's a concern.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Simons
because
is better than I thought on the defensive end. He really has.
Yeah, no, his quickness is something certainly to worry about. But with Murray, I think that the ability to get your own shot and the way Denver sets screens for him. So I don't worry too much about that in this game. And I also feel like in a game where you're going to be playing up tempo and there's going to be a lot of open court, broken court, so to speak, basketball with openings for fast break shots, I would tend to take my chance. If it was a slow pace, half court style tight game, I might worry a little bit more, but not in this particular matchup.
It's Mr. Rob Veno, WagerTalk.com. And Rob, we have a little bonus time with you today, so we do want to touch on some college football, which we haven't gotten to a lot this week. I do want to get to I'll let Teddy get to the bowls, but more important issue for me are the FCS playoffs, and you're the perfect person to talk to because, first of all, I know you and my man mid-major Matt Josephs from Virginia here cover it a lot, do your own show even at times here on Wager Talk TV. And William Mary Tribe in the quarterfinals this week at Montana State. They had a 40-point home win I was at last week in the round of 16. They missed the home game, Rob, by one spot. They're the 5 seed. Montana State is a 4 seed, and they've got a tough trip now. Left yesterday for Bozeman, Montana. It's going to be cold. It's a 10 o'clock Eastern start. It'll be over at 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
They're about a 7.5-point dog, so I definitely want to get your take on this one. Also, the other 3 games this Friday and Saturday. Bettable games, folks. Lines have been up for a couple days now, and it's the biggest college football this week. See any value on the board this week in these games?
Yeah, in fact, we've had good success through the first couple of rounds here in the FCS playoffs, Steve. So for those watching, again, I'll have plays available of these 4 contests. You can find them at WagerTalk.com. And you mentioned mid-major Matt, and we've been texting a little bit back and forth. And he did, Steve, in fact, interview quarterback Darius Wilson for William and Mary this week. So Matt got a little bit of insight to the quarterback's perspective here. I think he was freshman of the year or rookie of the year, however they labeled that on the offensive side in the Colonial Athletic Association. But I think they've got difficulties here. My power ratings made Montana State about a 13-point favorite. The game came 7.5. It was the biggest power rating difference I had. You got William and Mary, which, as you know, really likes to run the football. Montana State, which is a brick wall run defense. And I just don't know that this team with this quarterback is as good as they are, William and Mary. I don't know that they're prepared for what they're going to face in Bozeman. This is a team in Montana State that made it to the final last year, that could certainly make it back to the final this season as well, playing really well at this point in time. And they, too, like to grind it out against you, although they do, in my estimation, have the better passing game. So I think Montana State's probably the right side. It's been a great season for William and Mary. I had them, I think, in the last week in their game last week. So, they dominated. But this is a different style opponent here. I think Montana State's the right side.
Rob says
Teddy,
the tribe,
I'm disappointed.
maybe.
It's all you. I can't take this. It's bad news.
Yeah. The tribe may be in for a rough night. Again, when you have those games for the East Coast teams that don't play them in the cold, start 10:15 at night, local time.
On a short
you
week.
Understand why the number is where it is, and maybe it should be even a little bit higher. Rob Veno says take a look at Montana State potentially over William and Mary. Rob, before we let you go, we haven't done much bowl talk on Wager Talk today this week. Obviously, the lines have just come out. The matchup has come out. Any games stand out to you? Any game that you want to talk about? You want to talk about the national championship games or the playoff games, an early bowl? Let's talk about a game that stands out to you, Rob Veno, when it comes to bowl season.
Yeah, and it's really difficult, Teddy, for anybody who's been trying to stay on top of this like I have. The transfer portal is a revolving door every 5 minutes right now. I mean, it's unbelievable. I think the count was up to like 960 yesterday already. So just to figure out who's going to be involved in these games and who's coaching where, as coaching changes and coordinator changes go on all over the place. If you take a look at the Louisville-Cincinnati game, as far as the sidelines are concerned, that's a complete turnover on both sides. But I will say this. Opening the bowl season here, or close to the opening, Troy's going to be playing Texas San Antonio, UTSA. And UTSA quarterback, Frankie Harris, is going to come back for a 7th college football season because he signed an NIL deal over the last couple of days. To me, that game sets up as a real passing fest. Troy is a very good football team throwing the football. They're very good at stopping the run, but I don't think they've seen anything like what UTSA is going to bring at them offensively. I think, Teddy, that game was priced way too low as far as total is concerned. It's 54.5 right now. I don't see any trouble with that hitting 57. So early look, haven't played it yet. Clients haven't received it yet, but I think that will be one of my looks. Troy and UTSA up and over the 54.5 in what could be an aerial fest.
Yeah, Rob, we haven't talked a lot of bowls because, like you said, it's always a little early. And then on top of that, more so than ever, between the transfer portal and the new precedent that's been set the last few years about, guys sitting out, getting ready for the NFL, not risking injury. It's made the bowls a little trickier than ever early to handicap. Doesn't mean there's not great value there still. And before we get to it the next couple of weeks, handicapping the Bulls is all about motivation. It's almost like preseason football, right? So you got to kind of throw the stats out and see which teams are ready to play and which teams have their starting quarterback, et cetera. Notre Dame starting quarterback gone already, for example. So we'll talk a lot of bowl action here on Wager Talk TV. I think we might even have some previews, video style here over the next couple of weeks. It's another reason, hit subscribe and hit that bell for instant alerts, because the minute these videos, these shows, Rob and Mid-Major Matt's FCS playoff talk maybe goes live, you get an instant alert here on YouTube TV. And Rob, what do you have going on at WagerTalk.com as we head into the weekend?
Yeah, we're up and available right now for tonight with NBA action, Steve. So you can find it over there at WagerTalk.com. As I mentioned earlier, I am certainly going to have FCS playoff action. Those games go, 3 of them go Friday, 1 Saturday. So you want to make sure you're in for Friday action. I'll have them up this afternoon so you can get that. Short NFL card, but I did find a couple that I really like. So NFL Best Bets will also be posted. I don't think, guys, I'll be involved in Army-Navy, although you're supposed to just wake up and bet under and go cash your ticket. But I don't know if I'll be there this year at 33 or 32 and a half or whatever it is. But yeah, a lot going on at WagerTalk.com. And as you said, Steve, sporadically we'll be putting up bowl games. I've probably chewed up enough of Andrew McInnis' time, so get him on here. He's got a lot to say.
Always great seeing you, Rob. And Rob will be back tomorrow on Friday on NBA tip-off, 4:15 Eastern on Friday. So check that out as well here on Wager Talk TV. And Teddy, it's funny, Ralph Michaels put up that tweet about 16 straight unders now in the Army-Navy game, and I was looking at the history of it. The second one during this 16-game run, the total was 64 back in 06 or 07. Now it's 32 and a half, like Rob said. So it's literally half of what it was during this 16 run under.
That said, last year I looked at this total. I'm like, oh my God, it's so low. You have to play it over.
I know.
No, you don't.
Under.
Cash another under ticket. No, you don't.
I think 3 of the last 4, Teddy, 3 of the last 4 have stayed under like 32, I believe. So it has been pretty remarkable. But they had like 17 points they had 17 points in the first quarter, I think, last year, and then 13 the rest of the way or whatever. They landed 30. It's due. The over is due. And that's another betting premise, as Rob will tell you as well, that does not work in the long term when something is due. You know my theory on falling knives, right? And the scores in the Army-Navy game have been a falling knife for 16 straight years. Teddy, you had a well-deserved day off yesterday. What did you learn?
Oh, I'll tell you exactly what I learned yesterday, which is absolutely nothing. Completely lost day yesterday, unfortunately. I had a little surgery. I had a growth on my back. Whatever, no one wants to hear about it. They had to take it off. It was just uncomfortable. I was home in time to do the show, but I didn't choose to do the show. I sat down. I made a short. I'm like, smart. I'm going to make my short list. I do everything the same way, basically, the same way every day, Steve. It's not something like, okay, today we're going to do something really different. And yesterday, because I knew that I was going to have an issue in the morning, I'm like, I better make sure that, you get your short list all together, make it pretty clear the night before. So I'm sitting here with my short list, and I'm looking at the games, and I get home from surgery yesterday, and it's just, my head is swimming. I'm like, there's no way I'm picking the right one out of this. I'm like, I'm going to bed. And I went to bed, I think it was like maybe 11 in the morning, and I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning. I slept straight through. I mean, I got up to go to the bathroom. I didn't eat nothing. I didn't do anything. It was a complete lost day, unfortunately. And for someone that does everything the same way, the same day, today's a little bit odd, because, like, all right, I got to go through my NBA box scores. What, I didn't do that last night? I feel human this morning. I ate something. I'm hoping for a normal day. And most importantly, I'm fine. No serious medical issue here. It was just uncomfortable, and hopefully after this stupid thing heals, it'll be more comfortable afterward. But I am a creature of habit, and my habits were not followed last night. And what does that mean? A light betting day today on Thursday for me. You have one play up in NBA, and that was on a short list that I made on Tuesday before I had any of this stuff happen. So hopefully we get a right side winner, but it's certainly not the type of day where I'm going to pound the board. I did not do my normal work yesterday. Sometimes life happens. As handicappers and as bettors, we need to recognize that and be sure that when life happens, you're not, oh yeah, let's fire away at the board. Take it a little bit easy for a day or two after you've had a missed day. That's what I learned last night. Steve, what about you?
Well, yeah, I just want to kind of piggyback on what you're saying. First of all, you passed yesterday. That's what you do. You don't force plays, and this is why you've been successful since 1998 as a full-time professional sports bettor, 24 years now. And clients have to realize that as well. And, sometimes I'll do all the work. We'll have a full normal day and we'll still pass. The one edge I've always said is that you don't have to bet every game, but they have to put in odds. They have to put numbers on every game. They have to put numbers on these FCS playoff games we talked about to Rob Veno. I guarantee you they're not as comfortable on those games as they might be for week 13 of college football, right? So, that's where you find your edge, but you also have the restraint. You have a process. And, let's bring on Andrew Mcinnis. We'll talk to him about his process because, Andrew, I know, you're kind of like me. You're a creature of the night. Gabe Morency is somewhat calls that for all of us with his late night TV shows. But, I'm sure all cappers have a pretty consistent process. And Teddy talked about his. Andrew, what's yours? I'm curious. Do you have a routine? Do you get a lot of the work done before you go to bed at night? I'm not an early morning person either. That's kind of how I do it.
Yeah, first of all, Teddy, happy everything's okay. Happy you're doing well. And I just want to agree with you guys about being creatures of habit. It's unbelievable sometimes how you don't even realize you are one until you fall out of it for even a day or two. And you're like, man, I should be doing that. I don't, you just you feel off, right? And I never really considered myself to be a creature of habit, like a routine-based person until past couple of years, handicapping, working with WagerTalk, you just fall in these, this mindset. Before I go to bed, I'm always prepping for my puck time show. I don't want to wake up. And even though my show is until 12 p.m. my time, I don't want to wake up with no notes. I need to have notes. I need to have opinions. The client picks, I usually try and have one out before I go to sleep, but I'll wait for goaltenders or NBA. You guys know how it goes with NBA. The lineups, who the hell is starting for these teams? You're not going to know before you go to bed. But yeah, I've got a time of day I do college basketball. I've got a time of day I do NBA. I have a time of day I do NHL. So I've got a time of day I drink coffee, guys. I'm just that kind of guy. So I didn't used to think I was really much of an organized person until I started thinking about these things. And then when I go away, as handicappers, I like to, have my office here with my microphone, my monitor and stuff. We have the ability to research. And, I was in Boston a few weeks ago, seeing a Bruins game and a Patriots game and doing shows. I brought my microphone with me and my notebook and stuff. I hated it. I went to a coffee shop to do research, to do work. I like to be right here, guys, and do my work. So definitely a creature of habit.
And it's so funny, Andrew, because people think this is what an exciting job you have.
Oh yeah, dream job, right, Teddy? Yeah, dream job. You get to watch sports.
I sit in my office and I do the same thing the same way every day. And look, I love the challenge. I really do. And when you handicap a game right and it plays out just like you thought it was going to play, that's the best feeling. It is. Your clients win and you win and everyone's making money. But the only way that happens is to do this, to have those routines.
Yeah.
The same routine, the same way every day. It is not an exciting lifestyle. In many ways, it's a boring lifestyle. We watch a lot of TV, we read a lot of stuff, and we sit in front of our computers for hours a day. But when you do it the same way every day, you can find a rhythm. When you get out of that rhythm, this can be really tough to beat.
Do you guys mind if I add in on
what
Rob was saying there about the total inside in a game? Because I feel it's kind of the same way. We handicap these games. Of course, I'm pretty sure most people would probably have a lean to, if you're on the side, I'm sure you kind of figure out what kind of game you think it's going to be, over, under, and stuff like that. And I kind of had that experience last night, guys. I had a 5% play in the NHL. It did win. I was happy about it, but it was on Vancouver and San Jose. Two teams that are just horrible defensively, right? And to me, I liked that game so much. I really, really liked the over and Vancouver. And of course, the game finished 6-5. So at one point when they were losing 5-4, I was like, God, the over was the play. Why did I play the side, And of course, they end up winning. I was happy about it. But I feel like when you go ahead and you pick one and then you also pick the other, I don't like cheering for two events at the same time. That's why I don't play a side and total in the same game. You might have handicapped it properly. You might have appreciated it. But if I bet the total and the side in that game last night, I would have just been mad every time San Jose scored. And I feel like Rob is right. Whenever that happens, you just end up with going 1-1 split. And that's not fun.
Teddy,
nobody wants to go 1-1.
Let me ask you this, Teddy, because I don't probably, I was thinking about it after Rob said, I don't probably play a lot of the same sides and totals either. Like in college basketball, heavy premise of my handicapping is pace, right? A slow team versus a fast team. And when I'm playing those slow teams, you probably should like the under if it plays out, I guess. But I very rarely do both. Teddy, do you ever play side total, like semi-correlated parlays in the same game? That might be the way to do it.
that's the only way to do it. If side and total are related, and for the clients, I rarely, almost never. I can't even remember me putting out a two-teamer on side and total. Yeah, you have to pick the one that you like better, and that's what you go with. But for my own betting, there are times I will absolutely put a two-teamer in where I think side and total are related. That's a part of my betting process. It's not something I do every day, but it's a piece of the equation. Absolutely.
Well, how do you play that, Teddy? If you're playing one unit on like the preferred side, and maybe you just lean to that total, what would you play that parlay like unit wise?
Usually, I put them together. When I'm betting them, if I think side and total are related, I'll put a parlay in, a little two-teamer
For one unit, also for the same amount as the side.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, got you.
Do you guys do many team totals with your clients? I'm not familiar really with a lot of your guys' picks and stuff like that, but do either of you guys do team totals?
I don't, Teddy. I haven't delved much into the prop world, and that's a semi-prop. What are your thoughts on that? But there again, Andrew, I know exactly where you're going with that. I mean, there again, if you have a handicapped game with the side and total, I mean, that should be correlated, especially on the preferred side, going over the total if you'd like the over as well.
Yeah, I most of what I do for my clients are sides and totals. The old way of doing it. That's the way I've done it, and I feel comfortable with that. And maybe I'm an old guy that is struggling to learn a new trick, but it's worked for me, so I'm not going to mess with it. Why do you ask, Andrew?
Yeah, and Andrew, we'll get to the UFC here in a second, but I'll piggyback on that. Teddy, I'm sure will agree with this. He's been doing it since 1998, as I mentioned. I've been doing it since 1996, and then Andrew was born sometime after both of those years, I believe. But all seriousness, you have to, I don't want to say we're not dumbing it down for our clients, but we do have a lot of different type of clients. Teddy and I do have some very sharp clients, right? They could handle playing this way, but that's probably the minority. We have a lot of new viewers, a lot of new bettors every day, every week, with 30 some states going online here. There's people that are just learning what the point spread and the total are. So we start getting into correlated parlays, or more importantly for me, Teddy and Andrew, 7, 8, 10 games a day. You're going to have a 2-8 or a 1-9 day. It's going to happen at some point. And a lot of clients will just never recover from that because they don't have the right money management. You can tell them to bet 3 or 4% per play, but they're not doing it. You can't make them do it. So yeah, being a consultant is a little bit different, I think, than being a pro bettor. And you and I, we all realize that, but I don't know if the viewers always realize that there is a difference. So when Teddy is saying he does a two-team parlay, he's not giving that to his clients. He's not holding out from his clients, right? He's just trying to keep things where the clients have the best chance of winning long-term, kind of keeping them in the box maybe. I mean, Teddy, would you agree with that? Did I phrase that well? I know you know what I'm saying, basically.
Sure. I wouldn't disagree with anything you said there, Steve. Conceptual, and again, when it comes to the props, I feel like I probably haven't done enough in terms of changing my own style of handicapping to take advantage of the opportunities that are available now. But it's not something I want to do in season. It's something that you're going to talk about, you're going to think about and work a process for in the off season and come back next year and do it different. So I wouldn't disagree with what it says.
For many, many years. Like you said, sometimes you don't need to teach an old dog a new trick. I'm not calling you an old dog.
And your routine, you'd have to switch your routine up to do it, right? It's like, when are you going to switch that routine up to add props? Like, there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many sports you can look at as well. And I do think specializing has a role. And that's what I love about all seriousness about WagerTalk.com. Tomorrow and Friday, we're going to have the prop master, Andy Lang, on, right? Andy covers a lot of the off sports. He's crushing women's college basketball, which I'm not really joking when I talk about it with him. I think it's awesome. And Andrew, let's get into the UFC. I mean, this is another, in fact, the two sports we're talking about with Andrew right now, UFC and NHL, Teddy and I don't really dig into that much. In fact, Teddy, yesterday, I believe we had history here on the show. We had a first NHL big game breakdown from Marco D'Angelo. He played against his Knights with the Rangers, a game he was going to with his wife, a Knights fan. And then the Rangers won 5-1 as an underdog, the ultimate emotional hedge. So we had some fun with that yesterday. Andrew, let's get to the UFC first. What you looking at this weekend?
Yeah, we're going to go with an over. And I think the last time I was on the show breaking down UFC, it was with you two gentlemen. And we talked about how, well, of all sports to really watch and to cheer on an over, the UFC is probably the least exciting for that. You want to see someone get knocked out. You want to see something crazy happen. In the UFC, when you're cheering for an over, you're cheering for nothing to happen here. Jan Blachowicz versus Ankalaev here in this one here. And take a look at Ankalaev. He's only been finished one time in his career, guys. And in that game, that fight, he still went over the total. It was a late submission there in that fight. I expect lots of grappling, lots of patience from these guys. And they don't really strike a lot. They're not overall massive firepower guys that are going to just pepper you with shots. They're going to be very careful. Both of them only average around 3.5 significant strikes per minute. So you're not going to see a lot of dangerous threats, on the feet. And I really think they're going to get in the wrestling game quite a bit here. And we're only seeing, 2.5 here as the numbers. So as the old expression we're betting on numbers here. And two guys that are very dangerous. But with this being a main event, with this being as much of a lethal fight as it is, and Ankalaev hasn't fought someone like this before in his career, I think we're going to see a lot of, cautiousness, these guys being very careful and precise. And, when that happens in the UFC, I'll be just sitting down watching tick, 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 watching that clock just tick away and hopefully get us over the total. So I expect a lot of grappling here. These guys will be very careful with their punching and hopefully get us up and over the total here with two guys that will be very, very careful in this matchup.
How am I pronouncing these names? Blachowicz and Ankalaev? Is that right?
Ankalaev.
Ankalaev. All right. Blachowicz and Ankalaev over 2.5 rounds. And yeah, you're right about UFC and fighting being the only overs that end up being more boring, as opposed to, the unders in the other sports are boring. The overs in the fights are boring. Let's shift our focus to NHL for a Thursday night. The Winnipeg Jets, home dogs to the St. Louis Blues. Right now, the St. Louis Blues, home dogs to the Winnipeg Jets. I was used to St. Louis being good, but they're not good this year. Is tonight a night that they're going to be good? Talk to me, St. Louis and Winnipeg.
I think it is a night they're going to be good, and I like coming on your guys' show and giving out some contrarian opinions. We talk about catching the falling knife, talk about riding these streaks, and the NHL is most certainly a streaky league. However, there was a very long time where nobody was noticing how good the Winnipeg Jets were. But guess what? People are noticing now how good they are, and I think this might be the time to start betting against them. The St. Louis Blues are a team that's been a streaky club. They win a bunch of games in a row, lose a bunch of games in a row. They just put up 7 goals against the New York Islanders, a very, very strong defensive team. And albeit they did allow several goals as well in that game. It was a high-scoring contest. I think that that's what this Blues team needed to get some confidence, to get their top players going. And I think momentum is a huge part of things, especially for these top-tier clubs when they're in a little bit of a slump. They need to have an outburst in goals. If St. Louis won their last game 3-1, I wouldn't really love them tonight. The fact they put up 7 goals, the chemistry was clearly looking good in that game. And I think that they're going to come into this game motivated against the Winnipeg team that's kind of had their number recently. They're playing really well. It's a big game for them to turn around their season right now at -105. You mentioned it, Teddy. You said it yourself, and you don't even follow hockey that closely. The Blues, usually a really good team. The Jets, usually inconsistent. Well, I'm going to play contrarian today, go against a team that's playing very well, and bet on the Blues to get on a heater here on WagerTalk Today. Last time I was on the show with you, I gave out the same type of play, a contrarian play, a team that wasn't playing very well. Let's start a streak with the St. Louis Blues here on WagerTalk Today.
Andrew, St. Louis also has had most of their games on the road. I think like 15 road games, 11 home games as well. And Winnipeg, the opposite. So you get a little bit of that dichotomy working for you as well. And Winnipeg, they were a dog like 6 out of 7 earlier in November. So they were flying under the radar, and now they're a road favorite all of a sudden against a team that won the Cup a few years ago. So I kind of like where you're going there. And Marco, of course, hit the Rangers yesterday as an underdog on Big Game Breakdown. And now Andrew McInnis gives you an underdog home dog with the St. Louis Blues. Andrew, love how you diversify UFC, hockey, college and pro basketball. Let us know what else you got going on this weekend at wagertalk.com. And don't forget, great time to get the $199 rest of year special. The sooner you get it, the sooner you get additional days for free. $199 for the rest of December, the rest of 2022. Andrew McInnis, wagertalk.com.
I've got, of course, a big UFC package going for this weekend, guys. I gave you one of the plays. That is a client play I did give you today. 4% college basketball play. I'm on a 7-3 college basketball run. Of course, NHL packages up. And I'm really excited because I went through a small slump, guys, and I'm really, really running hot now. Over the past week and a half, I built it back. And as you guys know, you can go through these hot and cold streaks. But I have just returned to the plus 100% bankroll increase in 2022, Mark, which I'm really proud of. Number 2 at WagerTalk in 2022. So talk about diversifying the portfolio, Steve. I love when you say that because college hoops, NHL, NBA props for me, UFC, We're doing it all. We're low volume across the board, but having a really, really good year. Definitely my best year so far being a part of this company.
Yeah, let's compare that to the stock market in 2022 for people. I don't think you've doubled your bankroll, 100% return on investment from Andrew Mcinnis in 2022. And you can get the rest of 2022 for just $199 right now on his page and any page at wagertalk.com. Andrew, great seeing you once again. We'll catch up soon. Check him out on Puck Time also most days at 11 a.m. Eastern here for some more hockey talk if you like that. And Teddy, we're going to close it out here. We're going to take a commercial break, and then I want a big game breakdown. We had an NHL game from Marco yesterday. Let's get back on track with an NBA big game breakdown from you as we keep the winning going here. 30 seconds.
Let's finish off 2022 with a bang. First, we'd like to thank everyone as a record number of you took advantage of our Thanksgiving 7-day special. We hope you enjoyed the convenience of getting your favorite handicappers plays daily during the hectic holiday weekend. And we also know that December can be a frenzied month with the holidays and all the sports in play. In the spirit of the season and due to the success of the Thanksgiving special, we are now offering a rest of the calendar year special to get every NFL, college bowl game, NBA, NHL, or any other sport your favorite handicapper releases through December 31st for only $199. The early bird really does catch the worm for this special as it starts the day you sign up. No coupon is needed, and you pay only $199 today or pay $199 in a few days. The choice is simple. Let's have a great ending to 2022.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk some national TV, NBA for Thursday night. The Clippers and the Heat. Looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen right now, I'm seeing Miami split line. There are 5.5s and 6s out there. Total, let's call it 213.5. There is some variance there. You can find 213s or 214s. Prevailing number, 213.5. We're going to look at this game to stay under the total. Look. Neither team plays with pace. The Clips number 25, the Heat number 17. Neither team has been particularly efficient on the offensive side of the basketball. Some shockingly bad offensive efficiency numbers for these two teams, number 25 and number 28. All right. Now, much of that has to do with the fact that neither team has gotten any rhythm whatsoever this season because all their star players keep coming in and out of the lineup. The Clips just got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard back. And they played a really fast game, paced game against Charlotte that flew over the total. I'm not expecting that tonight. This is not a team whose offense is in midseason rhythm right now by any stretch of the imagination. There are concerns now about Jimmy Butler for this evening for Miami. Half their team is listed as questionable for tonight. They, too, have been shuttling players in and out of the lineup. All right. Miami at home especially, their defensive intensity is real. And both of these teams top quartile of the NBA in defensive efficiency, number 5 versus number 8. So we have a slow pace. We have offenses that aren't particularly efficient. We have defenses that have been very efficient. And we have both teams going through significant personnel turnover and changing rotations and all of that. You put all those factors together, and this feels like a low-scoring game in Miami. My clients and I cashed an under ticket with the Heat against the Pistons. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we catch an under ticket in this one this evening. Look for the Clippers and Heat to stay under the total. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merrill.
Little big game breakdown, NBA style from Teddy Covers. And Teddy, on the way out here, let me just ask you one NBA question. I mean, the Celtics right now 20-5. I dared try to fade them last night with the Suns on a 33-13 run. Now 33-14. By the way, the Suns went from pick'em +1 to -2 close. So much for closing line value. And Teddy, be honest, closing line value hasn't exactly been all that in the NBA so far this season. Your general thoughts on the NBA about a month in now, and are the Celtics the team to beat once again in the East? And the West looks kind of wide open right now.
Yeah, closing line value in the NBA for me is not the most important piece of the equation, period. You know, there are sports where it is, and every half point matters, but in the NBA, you make as much going against the money as you do going with the money. I'll put it that way. Certainly, the Boston Celtics are the best team in the league. I mean, it's not close. From a power rating standpoint, I've just been upping Boston. I've got Boston at least 2 points better maybe 2.5 points better than the number 2 team in the league right now. The Celtics, in my mind, are the early story. And the other early story is that none of the bad teams, there were all these teams that are supposed to be awful, awful, awful. The bad teams are better in the NBA this year, whether it's Orlando or Detroit or Houston or San Antonio. And I know the Spurs are having a nasty losing streak right now, but in general, there are fewer bottom feeders, and the bottom feeders have been more competitive. And I've been making some money with some of those teams at or near the bottom of the standing. So there's just a few NBA thoughts to close out the show.
Yeah, I mean, we're about 25 games in on average. I think there's only 5 teams that haven't covered at least 10 games already out of like 23, 25 games. So there's been a lot of parity from a point spread perspective also early in the NBA. Hey, look, lots of money to be made in the NBA on a daily basis, college basketball on a daily basis, college basketball tip-off show at 2 o'clock Eastern every Monday through Friday, including today. NBA shows I mentioned earlier, 4:15 Eastern right here on the network. Hit subscribe, hit the bell for instant alerts when these shows go live. And, of course, you can watch them archived anytime, 24/7, right here on WagerTalk TV. I'll have my NFL Fade the Public video this Saturday afternoon, as always. Teddy, the Prez is scheduled to be back tomorrow. He's flying back to Canada as we speak. You are safe to go back outside in the state of Nevada. You no longer have to stay in the bunker. And he will be back with you tomorrow at noon Eastern when you guys do this again. I've enjoyed hosting with you this week. Let's take us home.
Yeah, Prez was in my town all week, and I saw him exactly this many times, 0. Although I was supposed to yesterday, but I didn't do anything on yesterday. Not much at all. That's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition of WagerTalk Today. Like Steve said, we'll do it again tomorrow, same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games. If you're looking for NFL analysis, I did give a big game breakdown of tonight's NFL game.
That's right.
Find that on WagerTalk TV. Look at the app. It's available. So, but that's the NFL game that we did not talk about on today's show unless we have analysis for it. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the games, and good luck.
Let's finish off 2022 with a bang. First, we'd like to thank everyone as a record number of you took advantage of our Thanksgiving 7-day special. We hope you enjoyed the convenience of getting your favorite handicappers plays daily during the hectic holiday weekend. And we also know that December can be a frenzied month with the holidays and all the sports in play. In the spirit of the season and due to the success of the Thanksgiving special, we are now offering a rest of the calendar year special to get every NFL, college bowl game, NBA, NHL, or any other sport your favorite handicapper releases through December 31st for only $1.99. The early bird really does catch the worm for this special as it starts the day you sign up. No coupon is needed, and you pay only $1.99 today or pay $1.99 in a few days. The choice is simple. Let's have a great ending to 2022.